Hey everybody, welcome back. It's episode 1 of the new campaign for 3D6 Down the Line. We are playing the Halls of Ardenvoul, a mega dungeon in the grand fashion. We're going to be using, of course, as always, the old school essential system by Gavin Norman. And I am John, I am your referee, and going around the horn here, we have...
I'm Mike. I'm playing a dwarf that is named Goran Blackhood. He's a clanless dwarf, so I thought Blackhood would be kind of a cool name for anyone who's clanless, and gives them a reason to go out with these Muppets and die in a horrible cavern.
Who needs a reason to die in a horrible cavern? Come on.
Right.
Self-evident.
I'm David. I'm playing Varger Mudclump, the thief, full of scumbaggery. That's my scumbag-ish costuming right now, and can't wait to die terribly.
This is just how you look, dude. This is what you look.
It's 104 degrees in California, and I'm pretty sure these help cool me off. You know what I
Okay,
mean?
good. As long as they
They're
help.
they're very cool.
They're ensorcelled in some mystic manner.
Okay, I'm Matt, and I will be playing Frater Avaricios Epidamus. And I shall be keeping all of these bastards alive as best I can. And afterwards, we'll go out for a drink.
And I'm Ted, and I will be playing Osric the Omnipotent, a mage and total novice of the mystic arts.
Nice. All right, so yeah, and for our audio listeners out there, David was referring to the fact that he's wearing sunglasses. Not at night. Not at
I have a
night.
nice
That only just
lock.
begins to describe it, John.
Listen,
Yeah.
I've got a deep cut button down, and I also have a golden lock pendant around my neck. That's
Yeah.
all good thieves should.
That's
right?
not his.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
not his character's description either. That's him. That's what he's wearing.
Oh, yeah.
That's what he's chosen for this first episode of Brew.
You look like an extra in Miami Vice, doomed to die in the end of the episode.
This is why you should never move out of your parents' house, because sometimes you do need to be dressed.
Look, they kicked me out because I was dealing weed, right?
Yeah, well, that'll happen, yeah.
All right, yeah. So okay, so this is the first session of our new campaign, playing the Halls of Ardenvoul by Richard Barton. And if you've tuned into our session 0, that's where we did all our character creation and kind of explained the campaign in general. In the description of every episode that we have, I will be linking to a folder that contains my house rules and other documents, so the way that I've kind of tweaked the system for our own use. It's a little bit further than what we use for Dolmen Wood, but it's basically the same thing. But for anyone who's interested in like some of the rulings that I may make, or some of the classes that we're using, for instance, Ted is using an optional class from the Carcass Crawler official OSE zine called the Mage. So just so no one's confused, he's not playing a magic user. It's actually a separate class called the Mage. You'll find all of that information and what I'm allowing and what I've changed in the game in that link in the description. So please, if you like what you're seeing and you like the past content and you're excited about this, please like and subscribe, of course, as normal. And big news for the channel, we officially now have merchandise up on Redbubble, so you can have your choice of all sorts of different gear. As you can see, Mike is modeling in the best fashion possible. One of our hats that you can possibly get. We can do both the 3D6 DTL logo and the written out down the line as well, with all sorts of interesting and fun stuff. So head on over there and help support the channel. It'd be awesome. And all right, so let's get into it.
It makes my coffee taste better. I'm just going to say it makes my coffee taste better.
Side benefit.
It kept the sun off my bald pate. That was really good.
Good.
All right,
You
so
get dice, but only in 3D6s, right? You can't get anything else? Is that...
no dice.
Yeah.
No dice, okay. Oh,
Yeah.
well. Oh, that's next level.
But the cool thing about our official dice is that they are just regular D6s. So
It's true.
any D6s you get who are supporting the channel.
We get a cut.
Yeah, exactly.
They all roll ones all the time.
Okay, at the end of last session, at the very last thing we did is we rolled semi-randomly for the time of year.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so what we came up with is that it is the month of Lucrios, which in this world is the 4th month of the year, April, and it's the 27th, which is known as, the day of the week is Taz Day, T-A-Y. And so I thought, as a quick little send-off to Dolmen Wood, is that we would head over one last time over to the exploring the wild section of the Dolmenwood campaign book, and use its chart for spring weather and determine what the weather's like.
Ooh.
So, let's head over there, and I need someone to roll me 2d6,
David.
please.
He's got the sunglasses on, so
Oh, I see. I was gonna say.
summer weather. Give us the good weather,
give us a
David.
nice day. Yeah, give us a nice day, man.
Second.
Don't blow the first roll.
Like I did last time, middle of winter. Oh,
There you go.
What's the total?
7.
7 is the total.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Okay.
that's a good roll.
It's a good roll. It is a warm, sunny spring day.
Perfect.
You might live.
There you go.
Okay.
That's
Oh.
great because I can afford winter gear.
We can't afford spring gear.
Alrighty, just give me 1 second here. Okay, so it's a nice, sunny, warm spring day in Lucrios. Now, you guys might have thought that you're starting in town in Gosterwick, right? No,
No.
that's not gonna.
No, Gosterwick.
No, you guys are. Let's see. How do I want to do this?
We're in a swamp, aren't we?
Starting in the belly of a goblin.
We're starting dead. Just get it over with. Next character.
All right, let me switch up here to this. Give me 1 moment.
We're in like a
There's a swamp on this map. Well, a marsh, anyway. Oh, Burdock's Valley. Oh.
All right.
Okay.
You guys
Say,
are
that's pretty cool.
all of you are together, and you have traveled the 9 miles from Gosterwick along the Imperial Road, and you are facing probably the most awe-inspiring sight that you have ever witnessed in your lives thus far. Is the massive colossi that front this towering cliff face that rises about 1,500 feet up. The sound of the falls that are coming down on the western side, on the right side of one of the two figures, is the thunderous noise of it is so intense that you can barely talk to each other without shouting. The road that you're on that leads basically south out of Gosterwick and then curves back around to the north around Toti Lake. That you've taken is an old imperial road that was built over 1,200 years ago, and it parallels basically the eastern side of the Swift River, which is the river that forms out of the basin of these falls. And the road itself is made of large rectangular cobblestones. And you can see that at one point, far in the past, that this used to actually have like curbs and drainage along the side, but that's long been overrun. It's completely cracked now, and there's grasses and small shrubs that grow through it. But it's still like a heavily traveled road, although less so in this direction. Now, as you are approaching the falls, about 500 feet away from these massive things, the footing here becomes treacherous and slick, and there's the humidity is intense, and the spray from the falls is basically misting the air around you, and it's all quite overwhelming. And through the mist, though, you can see these huge, what you've been told are known as the colossal defenders. The one closest to you is a warrior that is kneeling with their left hand extended outwards upon their knee. This is supposed to be the mighty Arcontian heroine Arden, and then her traveling companion and partner, the sorcerer Vul, in a hooded cape, lies further to the east. And in between, you can see that there is a set of steps that switch backs between the two statues all the way up to the top of the plateau, where you have heard that the ruined city of Arden Vul, named after these two heroes, rests on top of this plateau. Although you can't see any sign of it from where you are. So that's how you're approaching. You can see that on the western side of the falls, that there's a section of what appears to be small of broken stairs They're actually on the western side of the falls itself, but sections of it have actually like huge gaps, basically span where parts of it have fallen apart. But about halfway up, you notice that there is a grand, like marble-lined entrance that there's like that goes deep into the cliffs itself. But it's the only sign that you can see from this distance of some sort of human entrance to this place.
And this is separate from the switchbacks.
This is separate from the switchback. Yeah, there's a connected switchback that goes all the way up to the top between the two statues. Yeah.
Right. So this is off to the left of Arden, you said?
Yes, and I can show you this actually, which might give you a better view there.
Huh.
That's metal, dude.
Oh, pretty.
That's awesome.
Very
That's
cool.
very awesome. Okay, so yeah, the switchback I see on the right.
So you guys are like right here.
Oh.
Oh wow, we are little.
Did you move that, or did I move that?
On the map, the picture on Albert, I was moving it. I think that's me. Sorry.
Okay.
Is there another cave entrance at the connected switchback right by Arden's pauldron?
Like his shoulder, yeah, I see that, or her shoulder.
So it's difficult. It's actually not really accurate because the mist is so strong that you can't really make out these things. But just
Okay.
this is sort of to give you a general idea.
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So, so basically, what you guys are traveling along this road on your feet, and well, actually, hold on. Let me just look real quick. Now, on the road off to the side, not very far from where you are right now, probably about 50 yards, you see that there is what appears to be an abandoned watchtower of Arcantian make that is seems to be in extremely poor repair. It looks like all the upper levels of it have actually collapsed into the tower itself and the surrounding area around it, in the base. And there's like a broken doorway that you can't really make out what's inside. But there is, the spray of the waterfall is constantly kind of pummeling the side of this thing, at least on the western side of it.
And time of day, John?
We'll say it's noon.
Okay, so would we estimate that there is enough daylight to make it up the cliff? Probably, right?
It depends on how treacherous it is. It looks very, very slick. It depends on how quickly and cautiously you go. Now,
How many?
Go ahead.
How many skeletons do we see at the bottom of this of people who have slipped and fallen?
You don't see any signs of immediate habitation right now. But once again, it's very difficult to kind of see anything. Yeah, Mike?
Number one, I have a couple of questions. The road that we're traveling on, is it new construction? You said it was old construction, had been stripped of its gutters and all the rest of that stuff. It's like from the old Arcantian Empire, correct?
Yeah. It's an old Imperial road.
We traveled through Gosterwick, right?
Yep.
Assuming we stopped there. Did we do any rumor gathering or anything like that there? Is there any assumption that we've done that?
That's my next thing, yep.
Oh, okay. Then I'll shut up and let you do that.
Okay. So you have heard two things in particular, and then we're going to get into what you individually have heard. All right. First of all, you've all heard this. For whatever reason that you came to Gosterwick, and if you ventured on to Ardenvoul, you've heard that the most accessible entrance to the caverns beneath the ruined city of Ardenvoul are from within the Pyramid of Thoth, which is one of the few remaining intact structures in the ruined city.
That's at the top of the cliff, correct?
Yeah. The second thing that you've all heard,
Oh, you could see it at the top.
yeah, once I probably shouldn't have shown the picture. You don't see any of that. The other thing you've heard is that there is actually a crude inn beyond the boundaries of the ruined city of Ardenvoul to the north. And I just forgot the name of it. Give me 1 second.
The drowned rat.
It's called the Sign of the Broken Head.
Oh, that's perfect.
That's appropriate.
God,
And
That's
there is an entrepreneur there whose name, the proprietor of that place, is known as Kronos Kettlebelly, with a K.
Oh, belly.
Kronos Kettlebelly men from the inn have they found stairs in a certain dwelling that leads down to the first level, and he could probably tell you more about that should you wish to go visit him, if you wanted to get
And
into
this-
personal.
And the inn of the Broken Head, or the sign of the Broken Head, you said that was to the north. So this is still down at the bottom before we go, or is it up at the top?
No, it's actually just beyond the borders of the ruined city itself, on the north side of the city.
So top of the cliff, then some.
Yes.
top of the cliff, north side.
You got to go through the ruins to get to it. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So now, in addition, when you're gearing up and supplying in Ghostawick, you had heard some things.
What do my dwarven ears hear, John?
They're taking the hobbits to Isengard. I bet I don't have any special mage knowledge about this either.
Well, going off of my experience as a magic user in Dolmenwood, no.
Yeah.
500 years of college and you don't know jack.
You're like an intern, dude. You're like just you're on
Hobbits
summer
and
break.
Mystic Arts. Definitely.
All right. So, Gorend, why don't you make me a D100 roll?
Yes. Wow, do they have a D100 on this? They do.
They do.
Boom! 82.
82.
Oh, that's bad.
It's really bad.
That's a bad one.
All right. Give me a second here. Gotta read it here first.
It's not just a mega dungeon; it's a mega rumors list.
Yeah, and so one of these dies within the newly the newly formed town of Ghostawick. You were talking to some low life adventurer who made it back, and he tells you now. You were well in your cup, so you don't really know like how.
I
This
don't
guy-
drink, John.
This
I
guy,
don't drink.
This guy was well in his cups, and
Okay.
you're not really sure how much of this you can actually take to be true. The same goes for all the rumors you're about to hear. But this guy says he spent a couple of hours in the market run by the Ardenvoul trolls, and on that floor of that market cave, he and his men glimpsed some ancient military insignia, and it looked like the symbol of the Sheep's Head Rangers. That's the name. Let's see, who would know that? Well, actually, I don't think anyone of you would know that. But the way he says it with a little bit of reverence. And he goes, wasn't that the legion that got destroyed with Adrianic a few centuries ago? He says, I bet the Drome would be interested in that information. Now, the Drome, you guys all know, the Drome is basically the arm of the imperial bureaucracy, which is in charge of intelligence gathering. They are the secret service and widely feared by most citizens of the empire.
You said Sheep's Head what?
Rangers.
Sheep's Head Rangers. Sorry, I'm writing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course, he says you need hard evidence from the troll market to convince Kiko the Lame. And
Kiko the Lame is the chief of the drone.
you would take by the context that, yeah, that seems to be the case.
Okay.
Now roll me 5d6 and subtract 4.
Me?
Mm-hmm.
14. You said subtract 4?
Yeah,
10.
10. All right, so this you probably may have heard in one of the temples in Ghostawick. You hear tell that the cult of Thoth developed at least 3 major temples beneath the city. One of these was located at the foot of an enormous underground chasm, and it was accessible only by teleportation or flight.
So we're visiting that one first.
Now you've heard that you guys are all well aware, of course, and especially Avaricios, Matt's cleric, could tell you that worship of Thoth is not necessarily prescribed, but it's definitely died out. He's one of the ancient 12 gods that the Arcontians used to worship. They have since taken on the worship of the 10, which are more Greek analogs of these ancient Egyptian-themed gods. So when you hear like an Egyptian-named god, it's more than likely no longer technically worshipped by the empire at large.
And that one
We've
was
got new and improved gods now.
That's right.
sorry. That one that was only accessible by teleportation or flight was located where? He gave a location for that.
A chasm.
The bottom of an enormous underground chasm.
Got it.
Yep. And don't forget, we have the shared document that you can write all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm trying to type a lot of this in the doc. So, Mike, if you are catching stuff, I'm not.
I'm like hand old schooling it.
All right.
You're,
No,
you're
I'll add
multi-
it to you later though.
Okay. And Goran, as you're pondering these tantalizing hints with a spray hitting your, what exactly do your companions see when they look at you, or what have they gleaned from you in the short amount of time you spent together?
I mean, I look like a escaped or perhaps like unemployed craftsman, and I'm wearing like the black hood, which indicates that I'm clanless. I have no beard, but you can see that I'm trying to grow it in, which is usually only done by the warrior clans in the dwarven. Man, my English is bad today. In the dwarven society, like only the warrior clans grow beards. So like I look like a tradesman that's kind of like absconded from my guild.
Cool. So do you have like is Goran's beard growth sort of similar to your own?
Yeah.
Like that length?
Coming in.
Just coming in. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good. All right. Vargar, why don't you roll me a D100 table as you're pondering the distinct lack of facial hair of your dwarven companion?
That is an
As one does.
18.
What'd you get?
It is a little disturbing.
What'd you get, David?
18.
18. All right. You quickly, Vargar, connected with many of the criminal elements within Gostawick and were surprised, and you're still trying to figure out if you're delighted or not by the fact that there is such a strong presence of what's known as the Benevolent Brotherhood here in this brand new town. But they are, if nothing else, they are a source of many, many rumors about Ardenvool. And one you hear is that the place attracts wizards and priests like dung attracts flies. As you give a side-eyed look to your friends Osric and Avaricios. There's a crazed wizard named Khan, and yes, it is that Khan, that spelling, that rules the second level from the top with the aid of an army of ghouls. And it said he needs new souls to keep him alive, and his ghouls do the procuring for him. And he goes, the worst part, he pretends to be helpful, and that's when the ghouls strike. So be on the lookout for Khan. Khan! And then I need you to roll me
ghouls. I hate 'em so
5d6
much.
minus 4.
That guy.
I hate him already.
Love it.
We're all like, hate it, hate it, hate it. Vargar's like, I love it.
Great guy, that con fella.
David.
The old bamboozle.
All right, 5d6 minus 4.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
you-
Sorry. 5d6 seconds. That is an 11 minus 4 is a 6.
6. All right. All right, so
11
I should tell you guys that the first rumor that I'm giving you guys is basically like a general adventuring rumor. It's what you would have heard from the Down and Dirty in Gostawick, people who've actually been to Ardenvool. The second one, the role that you're making, is actually more like historical rumors that you would have heard from like sages or read in some books. Maybe not even in Gostawick itself, but they just tend to be a little bit more esoteric in nature.
Okay.
And you got
maybe
a what? A 7?
Maybe a little more reliable.
That is totally up to your own judgment. So you hear that Thoth was deeply important to the ancient empire, as he represented the light of knowledge that erased the darkness of ignorance. And for this reason, the Thoth priests were obsessed with light. Every one of their halls remains brightly lit with Thoth's bright, clear light. I gave you some hope that maybe you wouldn't have to trudge through darkness all the time while you were in the depths.
Interesting. Cool.
All right, and what do folks see when they look at Varga?
I think he's a
dirty pimp.
a sinewy Scandinavian sort with a blonde beard and ill intent.
Cool. Now I was going to ask you this off screen, but I forgot, and I'll just ask you now. So
right.
you're the Wiskin, which is what Varga is, which is basically like a Scandinavian analog. They are technically, their homeland is an island chain off to the east and to the north called Borealios by the Arcontians. And they are technically under the rule of the Arcontian Empire, although they still have their own culture and all that kind of stuff. Would you like to be from there, or the other option is that there are actually some Wiskin outposts and steadfast that are actually on this continent itself of Irthuin, far to the north. Like, would you? But basically, it's sort of like if you were from the north, you would have been more of like a. You wouldn't have been as much of like a sea reaver, like a Viking type, you know what I mean? If you were from Borealios, it's quite likely that you would have lived by, your trade and your livelihood would have been, from the sea or somehow related to the sea. But that may have not have been the case if you were from the north.
Let's do the north, just because I'm a thief, and I don't think I'm thieving at sea.
Okay, that's cool. That means that you traveled down from the north to actually get to Goss to work from. That's cool.
Yeah.
Instead of across from the sea.
I think I heard rumors of riches to be made and fools to be
Yep.
stolen from. So you're right.
Yeah. Hello.
Reason enough. All right, cool. Osric, the mage. Roll me D100.
Oh, that's me. I thought Matt would be next. Sorry. I thought we were going around the horn. 56.
I'm a little magey.
56. All right.
56.
Sorry, guys. I'll be right back. Someone's at the door.
Sure. All right.
Okay.
56. All right. You heard from a person who heard from a different person, we'll say. So you definitely don't know how reliable this is, but that you've heard that the precincts you've heard that the precincts of the Ibis god are littered with these creepy statues, all of which have eyes made out of huge gemstones. But if you try to remove the eyes, the statues animate and wreak bloody vengeance upon those who wrong them.
Okay, that's solid intel. I
Yeah.
would consider that. Yeah.
Assuming you guys have shared your rumors and knowledge amongst each other, this person who would only ever refer to that as the Ibis god, you're very confident that who they're referring to is the god Thoth.
Okay. And then what is it? 3d6 or 5d6?
Yes, but you, Osric, just roll 5d6. Do not subtract 4.
Ooh. Okay, let me.
Hey.
Wait. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Total is 16.
16. All right. Okay. So you know from your past research and talking to folks in the know that when the Arcontians first came to Ardenvool, they found the caverns infested with hopping toad-like creatures. It took centuries of warfare before the hoppers were eliminated by the Arcontians.
Hoppers, just called hoppers. Is that the?
That's what the person that talked to you referred to them as.
Okay.
And
Arcantians found toad-like creatures. Centuries to eliminate the hoppers.
yes.
Okay.
And what do they see when they look at you, Osric?
So Osric has long black hair, a large black beard, but wears and he's Mithric. I think it's called Mithric, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he wears bright, multicolored, sort of a not exactly Harlequin, but kind of the troubadour kind of. He's a traveling mage, a wise man, a wizard, a storyteller, and so he kind of dresses the part.
Very cool.
It looks like a brightly colored Ian Anderson from the early Jethro Tull.
Nice.
Would you say you have a Technicolor dream coat on?
No, he wears a short jacket with those puffy sleeve things, right? And it's puffed and slashed, and he's got jewelry and necklaces and
Right on. All right.
fringe
So,
on his boots. He's got fringed boots. You know what I mean?
and for you guys and for everyone else out there, you should know too that there are the collegia of wizards that actually are sanctioned by the Empire themselves. So it's a group of schools of which you would attend for actual sanctioned magic use. And that is open to anyone with any sort of talent or desire to learn magic. And that is thanks to the outcome of the Great Civil War that rent the Empire 1,200 years ago, the war between the Sordians and the Theosos. The Sordians ended up winning that war when they were fighting for an egalitarian approach to magic learning. Instead of being hoarded by those elites who had influence and power, usually represented by the old clerics. I'm sorry, the old temples to the old gods. The Sordians wanted the schools open to anybody, and they ended up winning that war at great cost. But in Osric's case, you are more. I guess you would. It depends on how you view yourself in your own mind, but other people would view you more. Arcantians especially would view you more as like a hedge wizard.
He doesn't actually cast any spells, right? But
you have
it
magic.
wouldn't- But he has magic knowledge. He knows things. He can do things, and so I think of him more as like the kind of wizard you'd find at the crystal and incense store, than and at the occult bookshop. If you follow my
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
yeah.
But you're it's you don't have necessarily like the background in training and lore that a typical magic user would have. In other words, like
Right.
It's like you're what am I saying? It's anything you've heard about Arden Vul or even past history would not have come from your education, which
Right.
most
Okay.
magic users would have. Just so you're aware. Okay.
That sounds good. I like it.
Cool. All right. Frater Avaricios,
Yes.
cleric of Lycion. I need you to roll me a D100, please.
I can absolutely do this. I should have a drink first. This is what we do. That is a 14.
14. All right. Now, you chime in whenever you guys are relating your rumors to each other. Everyone's talking about Thoth and blah, blah, blah. You have heard that there's... you heard from someone, and it kind of got your blood boiling, that not only is there a cult of Thoth, or there once was, at least, in the caverns of Arden Vul, but there was also a cult of the feared god Set.
Ooh.
And the cult of Set favored blood red armor in an archaic style with breastplate, greaves, and helmet.
I need to get some of that.
And then why don't you roll me 5d6 as well? And because you're a little bit more learned, you can just roll straight 5d6, please.
Awesome being learned.
It is awesome being learned. That is a 16.
I think that's the same that... Yes,
same that
roll
Osric
one
got.
more. Roll again, so we don't...
You heard
the
about
same.
the hoppers too?
Yeah, you heard that. You know about the hoppers?
Same guy. He's just going around town telling everybody about the frogs.
5d6, right? That is a 13.
13. All right, you heard. Oh, wow, this is kind of nice. Among the symbols. So you heard this about like what a cult of Set within the ruins of Arden Vul. Well, I'm going to look into this, and then you lo and behold, you did, and you found out a little bit more. Among the symbols of the ancient cult of Set were the desert dust storm, the black boar, the crocodile, the serpent, a red-headed man, and a strange animal with the snout of a dog, but with squarish ears.
Oh my god. Okay, you're gonna have to read that for me again. I got a lot to write.
Don't forget
Okay, I got desert.
Poor
Desert
David.
Dust
He
Storm.
was like, we can use a shared Google document. It's all right. Yeah. Okay. Where did I say?
So you were kindly, if you would, repeat that for me. There was the symbols include a desert dust storm,
The black boar, the crocodile,
black. Okay.
the serpent, a red-headed man, and a strange animal with the snout of a dog, but with squarish ears.
Man, what's with Ginger hating here with the cult of Set, man? That's
Seriously.
all right.
Interesting.
So we should definitely collate all of our rumors, right? So everybody knows. No one's going to go prying the eyes out of the Ibis God.
I suspect he might.
Yeah, Parker's going to do it anyway, but at least we told him.
But yeah, we're going to be clear. We know to be stand clear when he does.
It's absolutely going to happen.
All
Well,
right.
I mean, I'm curious. Is it a true rumor?
Now, what do people see when they see Frater Avaricios?
Okay, Frater Avaricios. Okay, well, he's a really nice guy. He's about 5'10", human gentleman, slightly portly. You'll see that like the top of his left ear is just kind of nicked clean off. But he works it. He works it pretty well.
Shaving?
Like, stuff happens. There's like a little scar, like a straight line scar, kind of right along the line there. He's sporting some kind of modest leather armor, but he's in general very good natured. He's kind of got the olive skin and darker hair of an Arcantian. He's from the south, and he very much believes in the tenets of his god, which is that joy brings you closer to God, wealth brings you closer to joy. Ergo, it's not a very long trip to from gathering wealth to being closer to one's god.
Nice. And Avaricios' god is Lycion, which is one of the 10. And that is the god of wine, indulgence, madness, rage, and creativity. So if you think of Bacchus or Dionysus, you wouldn't be far from the kind of god that Avaricios worships.
We're bringing along a cleric of the booze god.
Absolutely. Well, we're gonna have lots of like parties, lots of toasting.
All
Beers
right.
for the
We're
beer
gonna
god,
do-
shots for the shot god. I love it.
Now, these guys can't see it, but I did add a nice little graphic here for everybody. I can now actually, boom, show their ability scores down there on the right side, down the line, baby. So you guys can all keep track of what everyone's really horrible scores are. Okay, so let's set the scene once again. You guys are about 500 feet away from the basin of these falls. You have to shout over each other. You have to shout in order to be heard. The mist is basically pummeling your face. You can barely see the shadows of the colossi looming through the mist itself, and dominating your vision right now are the crumbling remains of this tower off to the right side along the Imperial Road. You now at this point have to watch your step as the sheen of water has slicked the cobbles of the ancient Imperial Road, and you can see off to your left the rushing swift river as it heads on its merry way down to Toti Lake, which abuts Gosterwick, which is where you're from. Oh, and if you draw your attention over to Owlbear once again real quick, I want to give you a real-world example of what this might look like. I found this, and it's relatively accurate.
Sweet.
So this is, I can't remember the name of the falls, but it's down in Mexico and the Chihuahua state, and it's this fall is 850 feet tall. The one you're looking at is 1,500 feet tall.
So almost twice that.
Look at the size of the spray coming off that thing in the basin, and this is smaller than the one that you're looking at. All right, but the sheerness of
Where you're going with this?
the sheerness of the cliff and the terrain surrounding you at the bottom is very similar to what you're looking at in that actual photo.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
And John, like, is the climate around here, is it more like deciduous, like northeast or Pacific Northwest? It's not like
It's-
jungle, right?
No, it's temperate. It's all temperate. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can see that the cliff face itself through the mist is uneven rock, and there's bits of shrubbery and small trees that are growing out of it. But you can't make out much more than that. It just looks uneven. You can barely make out the fact that there are two sets of stairs, like I said. One that is complete, that goes switchbacks all the way up between the two statues, and one on the other side of the river, which is broken and with huge gaps, but does end about, let's see, I'll find that for you, just so you know. Give me 1 second. One moment. Maps. Boom, boom, boom. Folks out there, it's going to be a lot of referencing, so you're going to have to give me a moment while I do this stuff. Let's see.
1,100 pages of material.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Well, while you're doing that, I know something that Avaricios would want to talk to his companions about. Brothers, before we go all this way up with this structure here, perhaps we could, do some searching, see if there's something useful in there that we might be able to aid our journey. It's just right there. We could just take a few minutes, look around. Maybe somebody dumped some materials or something on their way back to town. So they don't have to carry it.
So you want to steal it?
No, I mean if it's just there, maybe if it has their name on it, says please don't steal. Oh, okay, but if it's just there in the ruin,
Why not?
I agree.
I'm not
Also-
opposed to that. I'm not opposed to that.
I would also like to, John. Well, when John's done searching, every thief knows that water hides the best escapes, and so I'd like to get a general idea of the diameter of this pool and whether there are any paths, perhaps leading behind the waterfall.
And just to clarify, the stairs that are on the other side of the river are they end at that cave entrance that is lined with marble, about 700 feet above the valley floor. And always remember, when I give you any heights, we're talking about a total height of 1,500 to get to the ruined city itself. So 700 feet up.
about halfway.
All right. So what would you like to do?
So John, well, actually, Matt, why don't we go and follow your
Right. I mean, it's just like it's on the web.
Curiosity
It's
first.
right over there, right?
Right, it's right there. And John, I know that you already gave us like our rumors and stuff like that, but during the course of our conversations, to be any kind of description of like the way to Ardenvool or anything like that, did anything mention this tower? Is it like a known stopping point or a known resting point?
No one
Right.
has mentioned it. No one has
Okay.
mentioned that they ever use it. No, like it's never come up in conversation at all. All focus
Right.
seems to be on what they've heard about within the cavern, within the halls of Ardenvool itself, or in the ruined city atop the cliff.
Got it. Okay.
I agree. We should go to this tower and study its ancient and time laden stones and delve deeply into the mysteries of the ancient works of our forefathers. Of course we should go.
It's just the ruined tower. It's right over there. We can just walk
Yeah.
in and pick. I don't know if there's that
Just
much.
the ruined tower. These are the very stones laid by the ancients.
I think it's made of wood. Actually.
Masters. Yes, I'll go.
Okay, so you see that it appears to be quite old, many centuries old. It's extremely poor repair as you approach it, and it looks like the upper levels of it have collapsed inward into the tower itself. Yeah, and there is a broken doorway. It looks to be about 50 feet by 50 feet square.
Would you guys like me to scope it out?
Maybe.
Well, we
and
should-
and the stonework matches the stonework of the road.
Yes, it's definitely Arcantian.
Right. So you say there's a doorway and the top is collapsed in. Does it appear that the four sides at ground level are intact? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, but the upper floors. Yeah, but there's a lot of rubble skirting it because rubble,
Right,
because the upper
So
floors
as if it
have collapsed.
floated out rather than collapsed in?
It looks equal. Like it looks like it just fell down, basically.
Okay. Okay.
You know too that that Arcantian. When I say like it, when basically from here on out, when I say something that is like made of Arcantian architecture or Arcantian features, what that means, and it's as equal today as it is in the past as well, although probably a little bit more refined, is that the masonry of Arcantian architects is generally like relatively high compared to a lot of others, with like neatly trimmed walls. And that we're used to, if they're ruins, they used to are like you could tell that they were originally covered in plaster. Modern Arcantian features are covered in plaster, and painted with bright colors. A lot of times with painted frescoes and things like that. So this like all the plaster has been stripped away, of course, and it's just like well-formed masonry that is completely collapsed due to age and the weather. It looks like to you.
Well, if it's all right with you guys, I'd quite like to try out a mage thing and just go up to the door and use my actually my strength is actually more powerful than my mage ability on that. Never mind.
The door is shit
Oh,
candy, isn't it?
Yeah,
Ted?
we can just. It's a door. We can just open it.
I know. I just wanted to be dramatic about it as a mage would want to do.
So it's like
but
it's a doorway like where the door is basically like almost collapsed and been completely deteriorated from the constant
okay.
water hitting it. So it's like there's basically like it's like a shred of wood that's basically hanging on, and it just like you can see like there's a an entrance that goes in that's dark at the moment.
John, can I just like take a quick glance at the road around us? Is it muddy? Is it dried out? Are there any like obvious footprints or like regular traffic going to and from?
No, it
this
is like,
tower.
as I said, it's completely soaked with water. Like it's extremely hard to walk. Like you all have to be very cautious when you're walking because it's constantly slicked, and so it's therefore impossible to tell if there's been any traffic along the road.
Why don't I kind of creep up, just take a listen. Go ahead, Mike.
I just want to ask, and I'm sorry if this has been asked and answered already. The tower is right by the road, right?
Yep.
Right by the road, yeah.
Little muddy track up to it. While he's going to go do the scouting, I'm going to go walk the perimeter around the tower and see if I see tracks in the muddy ground around there.
Okay.
Sorry, go do your ninja stuff, ninja boy.
Oh, I'm confused. Wait, what are we doing? Because I was doing that.
Oh, I thought you were going in.
Good.
I thought
How
we
about
were
you
looking at the
look
door.
at
I think
thought you were
I wanted
listening
to
at
look
the
for
door,
tracks, but
David.
I thought John was saying the tracks were impossible to see because it was too waterlogged.
Because the doorway is right by the road, and the road doesn't show any tracks, but the muddy area around the tower might show tracks.
But it is or isn't submerged in water. I'm confused. I'm sorry.
It's not. It's on the side of the road, but not on the side of inside the lake or something.
Yeah, nothing is submerged.
So
Nothing submerged.
yeah, nothing's submerged. I want to be clear about this. What I'm talking about is that the force of the waterfall is so strong that when it hits the basin at the base, the explosion of mist and water is so intense that it soaks everything around it, within hundreds of yards.
Totally makes sense. So my,
Right.
my remark, which is in line with Mike's, was that being the case, I think the ground would be very muddy, and therefore tracks would be easy to spot. And so I think both Mike and I would like to scout around as quietly as we can for tracks before approaching the tower very closely.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Let me check here.
Honestly, I think when those guys leave, I'm going to go open the door.
Fair enough. Be very paranoid for
it's a door. I don't think anybody's home. The whole place fell down. I'm just curious to open the door and take a look around.
Go for it.
All right. So as Gorand and Vargar kind of skirt the perimeter, you surprisingly, because I mean, this is, as far as you know, like this is the approach to Ardenbull from the south, from Burdocks Valley, right? You know, if anyone's coming up here, and you've heard numerous stories from supposed adventurers who have been inside these halls, you don't see any signs that anyone has ever rested in here on the outside. Like there's no tracks or anything like that. Now it is extremely muddy, and it's constantly being pounded by waterfall. So who knows? But in the meantime, Avaricios, when you peek through the dark wooden doorway, you can see that you can confirm that the upper levels themselves have collapsed, and there is a bunch of rubble that leads to a very treacherously footed ground floor. It's rather oppressive inside. It's completely dark. It looks like the rubble has fallen in a manner that there's basically very little light that can actually leak in from the top. But it's surprisingly dry. And you attribute that to, as you sort of like, well, of course, the Arcantian build of the place, that what has remained has been able to weather the constant erosion of the water. And so there's like a wet spot that is in the doorway itself that the water can enter through. But other than that, in that 50 by 50 area, except for the rubble, this looks like it would actually be like a dry and relatively safe respite. You know what I mean? If you if you needed to get back to it or something like that.
John, real quick, owlbear question. Is it possible, for instance, for us to take notes on top of this map and not interrupt your use of the map, or will it become really convoluted?
If you guys want to take notes, you can, if you'd like, yeah.
Okay.
So that's what you see when you peer in, Avaricios? Do you...
Like it doesn't sound like I can see very much, so I would spark up a torch just to kind of look around.
All right, mark it off. All
1
right.
hour into session 1, and he's already sparking up.
I can't see in here. It's dark. What do you want me to do?
Oh, sure. This is all about your pleasure priesthood again.
You can't spend any coins you cannot see.
All right, so you peer in with your torch. It illuminates all of the fallen timbers and rubble. There does not appear to be any sign, kind of lining up with what Vargar and Goran may come back and report to you, that there has been any camp set up here. There's no remnants of a fire pit or supplies, or thankfully no bodies or anything like that. There's just a general feeling of like being a little bit oppressive. It's almost you attribute it, Avaricios, as maybe it's just like the sudden silence that sort of whenever you whenever you enter the door and it's dry and it's relatively safe, and like you're suddenly dry and it's not like the pounding noise of the waterfall aren't in your ears, and so it's like it's such a jarring change in your senses that it just kind of just makes you feel a little bit off. But
That's very interesting.
I call out, hey Osric, it's nice in here. Come on in. If you see the other guys, tell them it's fine.
I'll follow him in, rubbing my hands along the stone and kind of blissfully looking around.
John, can I
doing?
hear that communication?
Sure.
I can, so it's not drowned out by the sound of the waterfall. Or anything like that.
well, it depends. I assume that they're talking loud enough to...
Oh yeah, I
I'm
called
trying to
in.
intuit whether the silence within is preternatural.
Oh, well, that depends on what Avaricios, if you're communicating at the way that you would need to, you let me know. I don't know.
I'm not doing anything magical. I just called out Osric, who's right outside the door, to come on in.
Yeah.
So he yells out basically. So that's how you
I
can.
hear
No,
it.
it's loud out there. I would call out loud enough so you can hear.
All right. So searching around for the tracks and then lighting a torch and peering in. A turn goes by.
Oh no!
Uh-oh.
All right.
Oh, crap!
So the inside here is featureless, or did this tower originally have like a fireplace, staircase to upper levels, anything like that?
It looks like there was indeed once one time a staircase, wooden. It's destroyed completely.
Okay.
But there looks like there was the remnants of a hearth at one point, also destroyed. I guess the hearth itself is probably still intact, but the chimney, of course, is completely gone.
Okay. Okay.
Do you take the time to kind of give it a thorough search?
I would actually like to search the fireplace chimney, see if there's any evidence it could be reopened and used, for example.
Yeah, and I'd like to see if there's any wine around.
Okay.
It's stored away.
A turn goes by.
The guardhouse cellar door, you found it.
All right.
I mean, you know,
So you pick your way amongst the timbers. It's like you can't help but make kind of, it's crunching and snapping through like old stonework and wood and stuff like that. And you're finally, as Goran and Varga, are you back in here as well?
Yeah,
Yeah, if we
and
didn't
while
find
they're-
anything, I think we would have joined.
Okay, so you're able to talk in like normal tones here as you're kind of picking your way through.
While they're doing that, John, can I do some dwarfy stuff like at the same time?
What would you like to do?
First things I want to do is detect room traps,
Okay, sure.
and that's a 2 and 6 roll, I believe.
Yeah, go for it.
All right.
It'd be great if you detected
Totally
it.
not trapped, guys. Totally fine. You're good.
It's totally fine.
I have a
your
method
scores
also
up
for checking for traps. It's just like doing stuff.
The other thing I want to do is I want to do my other dwarfy thing, and that's detect construction tricks. So the first turn that they're in there where they're lighting torches and looking around and stuff like that, that will be the room trap. And then the turn when they're searching the fireplace and stuff like that, I want to try and search the room for like any sliding walls, like secret passageways or ways down
Mm-hmm.
into the bottom. And that's also a 2 and 6.
Okay.
Nope. Nothing to see here.
Okay, you don't see anything like tricky, as if someone was trying to hide something. However, Goran, as you're kind of looking around, kind of woefully like, man, these Arcantians never could do it as good as the dwarves. You do see that in the northeastern corner of the tower, there is there's a trap door in the floor.
Oh.
It doesn't look like, but what I'm saying is, it's like you didn't need to succeed at your dwarven thing to find it because it's not like,
It's just there.
yeah,
Right.
it's just there. Yeah, it
It's a
was
secret.
it was sort of hidden underneath a pile of rubbish. You're like kicking it out of the way. You're like, what do we have here?
Nice.
I'll gesture over to Varger.
I'm over.
Very dangerous. You go first.
I see, I see.
You are
Just as an aside, can I just pocket a few stones? This is a bunch of rubble here. I just want to have a few spare rocks.
Okay. How much encumbrance is that?
Yeah, right.
We're talking pebbles, baby. Come on. Don't kill me like this.
He picked up 6 pebbles and now drops 30 feet in his movement.
Yeah, right. I'm just gonna similar to when we were outside. I'd like to inspect the trapdoor, see if it has. You said it was under rubble.
Yeah,
John?
it's like under rubble, but Goran like kicks some of it away in order to reveal it.
Does it seem okay? Like I think what's important to me first is to, if it's possible, determine whether that rubble aside, the door appears particularly dusty or dirty, or if it has been. Does that make sense? Like, does it look as though it has been used and it's relatively clean, and the rubble has been placed over it, versus it has been buried for a very long time and there's just cakes?
It looks like it's been buried for a very long time.
Okay,
Um,
cool.
this is all from just looking at it, not
Yeah.
with hand.
Can I run my hand across the seams and feel if I have any draft coming through or anything like that?
Okay, so when you run your hands over the seams, it is deathly. So you have to get like really close.
Yeah.
Really close, like brushing your hands over it. Around the four edges of it, it's deathly cold,
Mm.
like not normal cold, like
Like coming
refrigerator.
out of it.
Yeah, like emanating out, but not. It's only something that Varger can pick up, and you the rest of you just sort of see his hand just sort of like jerk back reflexively, because it's so odd, right?
Yes.
'Cause it's springtime.
Is
It's a nice day, and
Sure.
it's like super cold coming from there, but it's not like a blast. It's just sort of like emanating from there. And then you
Sure.
can also see when you're like, whoa, what is that? You can see that the metal handle that raises the trap door is rusty from age, but is also you can now see rimed with frost.
That is very odd.
Very interesting. Okay, what I would like to do is, do any of you go ahead, Ted?
Can you pause that a second and just let's settle the chimney?
Oh yes,
Yes.
Yep, Osric. So, over at the chimney, you can see that you can basically like when you're standing up and looking at and you're approaching the hearth, like the remains of the chimney are like below your head, like it's been completely shorn, like broken down, and you have to step through the rubbles of the stones itself. But in the hearth, there is nothing. There's not even like an iron. What do you call it? Basket to hold the wood.
Pit or anything like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so it does not appear to, and there's no ash, like that's all gone.
Right.
So there's like
Okay.
the
Could
remains of some wild, what do you call it, brush and stuff like that. But
Right. Could you light a fire in it and have the smoke kind of go out, or would it fill the room up?
it would go out because there's not.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Back to you, Varger.
And the other thing we were looking for, very important, any wine or booze, any bottles.
no. So interesting enough, there does not appear to be the remnants of any habitation here. Right, like it was obviously built by Arcontians, but any furnishing is absent.
Yeah.
There's nothing here. It's only like the structure itself, and that's in ruins.
And no
my God,
traveler's trash or,
My God has forsaken these places.
cheese wrappers or.
Avaricios, make me what did you roll for your secondary skill, by the way, Avaricios?
Farmer.
Farmer. Okay, cool. So roll me a d6.
That is a 3.
A 3. Okay, cool. Nothing to report here. Move along.
Everything's fine. Okay.
It's fine.
Right on. All right, so trap door full of cold air. Could be a cold storage cellar that's the spell still works. Could be full of vampires or ghouls.
That is very strange to have these temperature difference while it's not so cold outside.
I don't like it.
You had an
I'm
idea?
muted.
Varger?
Whoops.
Yeah, I saw
I've
your
been talking this
lips
whole
moving. It's a pretty cool trick, my friend. What were you saying?
time.
Yeah.
Yes, a ventriloquism thing.
Turn goes
I
by.
realized. Do any of you have a spear or pole or long thing?
I have a staff.
Okay, you have a staff. Two
Oh, and I
questions,
also have
John.
this stick. What?
Oh, you have. Okay, that's great. Two questions, John. One, the position of this handle.
Mm-hmm.
Is it laying flat so that I would have to lift it if I were want to, for instance, like try to thread a rope through the handle? Would I have to touch the handle to lift it?
Would you have to touch the handle to thread a rope?
If I wanted to thread a rope around the handle, would I have to touch the handle to do so? Do you think?
No. So it's literally just like a normal clasp, right?
Yeah.
Just like a if you see my fingers, just like a
Yeah.
it's bolted into the thing, and you just would pry it open like a.
So
And-
I actually don't
and
think I
there are
need this
hinges?
stuff. Go ahead.
There are
Are there
hinges on the
hinges?
opposite side. Yes.
I would like to gently thread a rope.
Mhm.
Right. And in fact, I can do the, I don't know, my Boy Scout years are long behind me. You know how one can have a loop on one side, and you can, a tightening sort of knot where you can pull it. So
Two
that one
half
side-
hitches.
Sure, 2 half hitches.
You
Okay.
actually have rope?
Yes, of course. Dude,
Oh.
I have rope.
I wanted
I
to get
stopped
some.
at the bench. Who do you think Barker is? No rope. No
Better
rope.
than Osric, I'll tell you that.
Perhaps
looked at the
you have
rope
been
store.
drinking. I don't know where this action is going. It's going to take some time, audience. Sorry. I want to thread it, and I want to sort of like tell everyone to back up a bit.
Okay. I'll say
I'm
this:
gonna-
when you thread it and you're being very careful, because I mean you asked me like, do I need to touch the handle, sort of thing, right? So when you thread it through, some of the rime of frost like kind of like it makes like a sound. Everyone's like very quiet as you're doing it, right? It's like as you kind of slip underneath, a little bit of the frost tinkles away, and you could swear, Varger, and you're the only one that hears this because you're so close to these seams, right? That along with the emanating cold air that's coming out of there, you hear something come out of there, and it sounds like a cold, hollow voice that whispers out on the cold air. Almost seems to form in the air itself. You hear in an interrogative sort of tone, Naima, like a cold,
Right, just-
hollow male voice. Naima.
Do I discern an accent?
Difficult to tell because you don't know the word.
Naima.
So it doesn't sound like a proper noun. It sounds like a.
Sounds like a name to me.
Sounds like a name.
All right. Well,
It's asking if you're the keymaster.
And only Varger hears this, correct?
yeah. I mean, I'll share this with everyone. I think I heard a voice. Call out.
That's slightly creepy.
Nothing alive is down there. There's
It is
not a
not-
thing
yeah,
alive down there.
Right, but there might be a way into Ardenville that doesn't involve a 1,500-foot climb on a wet switchback.
Maybe somebody needs
Or
help
unless
down there.
you're a wizard on the second level with an army full of ghouls that wants to make friends.
Okay, so here's my thinking. Gang. We got a lot of rope. We don't need to be sitting
You
here.
have a lot of rope.
This assumes that I can even get the thing open. But what
I
I'd
have
like to
ways.
do. Sorry,
I have ways. Ancient secrets.
this may be
No.
very convoluted, but I'm very paranoid. Can I throw the rope over one of the walls so that it would land? In other words, it's tied to the latch. It would land on the other side of the perimeter of this tower.
Yeah.
On
That
the
so
outside?
that we could go about the perimeter and pull it and listen,
Yes,
and
you,
not be inside the
you
tower.
could do that. Hmm.
I thought the ceiling was like still kind of intact, which is why it was dry in here.
It's not intact. It's that the rubble is so packed. It's sort of like a canopy of trees can sometimes block out like a storm.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm with
it-
you.
Yeah.
Did anyone actually have the money for a mirror?
I believe I bought a mirror. I did.
And you
Really?
check. Because if you did, we're going to knock that door completely off. Someone's going to stand outside and reflect sunlight into
Okay.
the room.
So we have a mirror. I can either be the one that pulls the rope or the one that holds the mirror. Doesn't matter to me. I think, yeah, like you said, reflecting light is a good idea. And it also gives us an eye on it, right? That doesn't involve us staring it down, whatever it may be.
And if you can't see it in the mirror, then that tells us something too.
Sure. Okay, so do we feel good about this plan?
Oh,
I love
God,
this plan.
No,
Who's
of
gonna
course not.
hold
We're all
the
going to
mirror?
die. I love it.
We're,
all right.
we're all going to get outside of the building, right?
Yeah, we're outside of the building. I think that if someone wants to have a mirror on the ready, either to spy around the corner like that, right, to see if they see anything, or like Mike's saying, to use it as a light channel. I'm down to that, but I think we should not be in the room when I do whatever I'm going to do.
Okay, do it. Let's do it.
So, wait, hold on. So Varger is going to. He's tied the rope. He throws the rope over. He's going to go outside and pull the rope.
Yes.
I'll volunteer to hold the mirror. That's fine.
But you're,
Why
you
don't
do-
both
you're-
of us? Why don't both of us haul the rope, David, so that we have a better shot of doing it?
Sure. Sounds good to me.
And Osric,
Okay.
you're going to stand outside the front door, right, with the mirror, so that you can kind of see.
Like
Right?
through at the door, like
I will stay near him. I want to. If this turns out to be something of an undead nature, I can try to turn him. I don't know if it will succeed. I can try.
Okay.
I'm fairly certain that will be the case.
As everyone takes position, Varger, you're the last.
It's just a guy down there. I'm sure it's fine.
everything in my minutes of adventuring experience suggests it's undead.
Varger, as you tie off the rope on the handle itself, the door actually like racks up like boom, 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 like real quick, like, and you have to jerk your hand back. It stays. It's like as if something's trying to force its way up, and you hear the voice more strongly in anger, with real rancor, says Setites.
Am I familiar with this word?
Setites?
Yeah.
I know there's worshippers of Set as mentioned.
Yeah.
And then it goes to quiet again as you tie off the rope.
Okay.
Nasty.
Do we want to like douse like a perimeter of oil around this thing and just burn it out? Am I getting way too granular?
That said, that doesn't seem to impede your plans at all. But if you it's up to you if you want to reassess. But let me know if you want to continue with your plan.
I
No,
wanna
I'm
continue 'cause
totally
curious.
down for this. This seems like a
Let's do it.
totally normal thing to do.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna go outside and I'm gonna attempt to open via pulling.
All right, you pull, and Goran's help is not necessary because it's just you just kind of you use the rope and it's got the full, the was that a fulcrum up at the top? I don't know what the word is, but anyways, it's like it's very easy, just like and you kind of yank, and you can hear inside as it kind of cranks up. Osric and Avaricios, you're standing near each other, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
By the front door.
Near the front door. The first thing you notice is that there is a blast of cold that like just shoots out. You hear timber sort of explode outward in all directions. A couple of harmless pieces kind of shoot out past you as well. Osric, as you reflexively sort of jump back a little bit, you could still have enough presence of mind to keep that. You're like, what the fuck? And you kind of like look in the mirror and you actually, I don't think a mirror would actually reflect this. But there is a definite presence that makes itself known on the ground floor of the tower as it shoots out of that trapdoor. Avaricios, you can immediately tell as your blood runs cold that you are facing an extremely powerful, unliving thing. But you are both determined not to actually directly look into the room. So it's only Osric and Avaricios, you both feel the cold. Avaricios, you can confirm that it is the cold of something unholy.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
And
Time to back away from the door.
I think we go back away from this. I don't like the feel of this. I don't like it.
have you come for more? You have taken enough already from me. I will destroy you all, you blasphemous Setites.
Listen, talk to the guy. We're not Setites. Listen. What's my charisma? Okay. I'm gonna speak from the other side of the wall. Saying we have no allegiance with the slithering Setites. We come because we heard one needed aid.
Who speaks? Where are you? And like more timber like flies all around as it appears that this thing, whatever it is like turning over rubble and heaving it. Show yourself, coward.
I am like yourself, a spirit of benevolence. And I have come to free you of your pain, but you must speak this pain for me to do so.
I long to be with my love Naima, taken from me by those cursed priests.
Where can we find her? We will find her and bring her to you if it will bring you peace. Dear spirit, for I'm here for you.
Where are you going, man? Come on.
I don't want to die, man. Come on, are you kidding me?
What do you ask him?
He asked him where Naima is.
Yeah, where her name is.
They took her, I know not where.
Does she lie within the walls of Ardenvul?
And you hear like you could feel like the attention of the thing kind of turn towards you, Osric. Who speaks? Enter.
I fear to look upon your countenance, O great one.
Please
Right.
find my lost love.
Can I?
Kill
I'm gonna
those
go
who
stand in
take
the
them.
doorway. Can I go stand in the doorway?
Oh shit!
You can do
Okay.
whatever you want.
All right. I want to go stand in the doorway, sword and shield out, but sword not brandished. My 8 charisma coming to bear, and be like, I am Gorend of the Dwarven people. I worship no Setites or any other human gods. What is your name, and what is your trouble?
You look in and you see what appears to be a ghostly visage hanging about 2 feet off the floor, completely phantasmal in nature. And it appears to be what looks like a human figure, male, but Arcantian, but of antiquity. The white and pale blue robes that it's wearing are obviously speak to like a time long, like it's not in fashion anymore, basically, right? Its eyes though are black pits, right? That stand out amidst the rubble as it's hanging there. It appears to be actually grasping one like fallen timber to kind of hold itself erect as it's sort of swaying. And it looks over at you and it does like the classic like Ghostbusters in the library sort of thing where it like looms forward with its face like as it comes forward. And it bares its like skeletal teeth at you. And it opens its mouth, but the words that it are speaking doesn't cause its jaw to move. It just opens and the words emanate outwards. And it says, "My name is Irtol.
Spell that, John.
Get
I
him,
will
Goran.
spell it for you.
Get him.
YRTOL."
Why are
He's very, very friendly. He's very nice to spell it.
And his lover was Naima.
Naima, yeah. And he says, "You dwarf, I hunger so much." And with lightning speed, a clawed hand shoots out of its robe straight at you out of the doorway, and you can see almost like a dog on a chain. We get a close-up shot of like your neck and its claw, and it just barely like misses you, right? And because you're standing right at the doorway,
Right.
right? And then it like pulls its hand back and growls at you a little bit.
Thank you, Varga, for your great suggestion. You hear whispered from somewhere up on the wall.
All right. Kill yourself, spirit. I am no easy meat. You may hunger, but do you hunger for my life or for your Naima? Which would give you greater pleasure?
Naima,
Then tell me what happened, and we'll see if we can retrieve her for you.
the priests came so long ago and took her from me, I know not where,
Took her
and
from
cursed
your
me to this
tomb?
existence. I desire only rest. I'm so tired. And its head goes down. Then it comes back up with its black pits again. But so hungry. And it like lurches towards you again. Once again, just barely missing you.
Okay, 3 drops of pee come out of my breach spot. All right. All right.
Well, I think this answers the question.
Was Naima removed from your tomb, or were you together in life? Because I hate to tell you this, but you're not alive anymore. And all the people that you knew are dust from like 500 years previous.
Gentle! Yeah, Varga.
That's rough, man. That's
In a loud whisper. Gentle!
He says, we were married.
And you lived in Ardenvool.
You can see it sort of like thinks for a second, and it's like, yes, I remember that name. Yes.
When he says we were married, sorry, I don't want to steal your thunder, Mike. I just want to interject for
Oh,
half a
you're
second.
good, dude.
Irtol, my tragic fellow, if we find Niema, do you have your loved wife? Do you have a token, a ring, perhaps, so we can show her that we might prove you are looking for her?
Did we already visit this story?
No, I mean,
The
ghost.
Go back to Winter's daughter.
I am both being helpful and also very much a thief right now. Is what's going on, right? Yeah.
So Goran, you can see that the ghost like whips around to face like this this voice that's coming from the other side of the ball,
Yes.
in anger, and it says, "Fool, she is dead long, long ago. These centuries, I know what the priests must have done to her, but her remains are all that I desire.
Fair enough.
Find them and bring them back to me."
Did she have any token with her remains that might help us identify her? Something that would, a wedding ring, something that we will know when we see them that they are her remains.
She
So I
had-
tell you that we go into Arden Vool to explore the dungeons there, and may very well find the Setite temple to which she was taken.
She wore a pendant of lapis lazuli that I myself carved for her.
And what was this pendant of? A dragon?
Lapis
Can-
lazuli. It was a-
Just said.
did I
You're,
stutter?
you're a dwarf. You're a stone.
Unfortunately, when
stone
you
is.
No, it was a stone, just like a cut stone in a pendant.
Just a cut stone.
Mhm.
Not like a dolphin or a Tasmanian devil
No.
or...
Just a faceted.
I'm gonna
Guys,
pipe
I gotta
in one. I'm gonna pipe in one more time just because I can't help myself.
While he does that, I'm gonna go tuck in my kid. I'll be right
Okay,
back.
no
Oh,
problem.
sure. I'm gonna say, and if, gods forbid, she is in a similar state of unlife as yourself, do you also have a pendant that we may show her to prove that each of you need rest?
I have nothing anymore. Just this unending hunger.
All right, cool. I think with that, Margaret doesn't have much to pester him with. We shall return, and
I thank you.
yeah, that's it.
And Goran, you can see his form sort of dissipate and basically look like it's almost been sucked down like a vacuum almost back into the seams, or not the seams, the open trapdoor into the basement.
When some time has passed, does the door like slam back as well magically? Or does it stay open?
It stays open.
Shit.
Well, unless, I mean, you know, you're holding it
Let go of
open.
the rope.
Well, I want to get the rope back. Is what I'm trying to figure out. So
Yeah, you're.
I don't know if that's happening.
You're literally hanging on to it right now, like you're holding the door open with both hands.
Can I let go and see if it
Yep.
comes back down?
If you let go, it goes boom and it shuts.
Okay. I'm gonna wait for a few minutes and then go and untie the rope after it's shut.
Okay. That encounter took a turn.
Okay.
And then you go around and back inside into the tomb. There is the remnants of the cold are still within the tower ruins itself. It does not, you never check to see if the trapdoor itself is locked, but it appears to be in the same state that it was before.
Is there any equivalent to a what's it called? Not thieves' cant, but like
Like a cairn or something.
symbology that thieves use like around cities to indicate certain meanings. You know what I'm talking about?
Sure, yeah.
Language they used to do.
Uh-huh. That would
I would
be
like
cant.
to-
That would be cant. Yeah.
That would be cant. Okay. I would like to take the chalk I have and upon the doorway indicate essentially danger. Like do not enter.
But only something that thieves from the Benevolent Brotherhood would recognize.
Only something that thieves would know.
Okay, cool.
You could do dead inside.
Nice.
Or dead is yeah. Some that makes sense too. Yeah. But that's what I want to communicate for any thieves that might come upon this.
Okay, all right.
And I don't know if they're should I have a signature? Dead inside. Burger. the best thief of them all.
Yeah.
Here's
Everything would be like, who the fuck is this?
yeah. I mean, I actually am going to do that. I'm going to do some sort of dead inside and just like put a V as like a signature to
Okay.
indicate who wrote it.
Cool.
And with that, I think we should get out of here.
Yeah, let's get out
I
of
do
here.
still, I do still very much want to scout out the waterfall side of the river / like I guess at the feet of the warrior statue and see if there are any paths that might lead behind the waterfall. John, I don't know if everyone else would like to do that as well, but that is definitely Vargar's.
I like the idea of a little, at least trying to look. I don't really particularly want to go swimming or get swept away. But
I want to see if there's
I
like a
guess my
land.
only other concern is too, and I'll just throw this out, but I'm happy to do whatever, is that we want to be at the top of that precipice before nightfall and hopefully at the end by the time nightfall comes, right? Like I don't want to be stuck on the side of the cliff when the sun sets.
Well, I agree. I will say we're probably equidistant to Gosterick, and it's going to take longer to climb up than to run back to Gosterick if we're really worried about time. Not that we want that situation to come.
You're much closer to the statues than you are to Gosterwick right now.
and it's
Yeah.
only
Going up
15
the switchbacks is going to take a while, right?
That's what I'm getting at. If I were to ascend, I mean, I don't know. We whatever
Well,
level of realism we want to deal with. If I were to ascend up 1,800 feet, it would take a hell of a lot longer
Oh yeah,
than a flat
I'm sorry.
road.
I thought you meant like to the statues. Yeah, you're.
Oh, I see.
No, my point is, if not that we are, but if something happens and we get caught closer to nightfall, I'm suggesting as Vargar that we run back to town rather than try to like make camp up at the top of the ruins. If that makes sense.
Okay.
But
So you've got you're outside on the road.
yeah,
You've got the river, which is not too far to your left, to the west.
Yeah.
The colossi in the cliff face and the stairs are in front of you.
yes.
And then you have the watchtower, obviously, right to your right, and you have Gosterwick behind you. What would you like?
So
to
I would
do?
basically like to head up road, and then when we get about to the base of the path upward, split left towards the shoreline of this. I don't know if you can see where I'm indicating.
Mhm.
I can,
Drawing. The shoreline here, and one, see if there are any boats, just because it would be good to know if people are
Right.
using boats around here. And two, see if there's any foot traffic in the mud or indication that there might be like a slim path, either a human or an animal, going behind and around in that direction.
Like
Well,
behind her foot or something.
Well, yeah, it occurs to me that behind the waterfall is one possibility, but behind the statue,
Exactly. Both
Is
of
that
these
other-
things I think are very valid possibilities.
Yeah.
Like if her
Mr.
leg is
Insect.
actually like going into the cliff.
Exactly. So I think
All right.
I would really like to search that whole area pretty thoroughly.
So are you going
Chuck-
to the basin first or to the statue of Arden first?
let's do the statue first.
Yeah.
It's drier.
John, let me just ask one quick housekeeping question so I can keep track.
Sure.
Did we have do I mark off 3 turns off of the torch or 4 for when we were in there?
4 turns total.
4 turns total. Okay.
Yeah.
Because he would extinguish that, obviously.
Okay.
Got it.
All right. So you continue on to the slick road, just slow going as you're taking your time to make sure that you don't twist an ankle or anything like that upon the Imperial Road. And as you approach the Colossus, like when you're right at the base of it, basically now the sunlight, which is almost basically directly overhead, I would say that the slight shadow of the cliff face itself is basically encompassing you this close to the face itself, as well, because the basin of the waterfall is right next to you. What I described to you before at the watchtower, as far as like the noise and the spray, is basically exponentially increased. It is so intense right here, right?
Right.
Have any of you guys ever been to like Niagara Falls or anything like that? Done like the mist? Like, you know how it can be like when you're on the
Yeah, man,
boat.
I'm from Rochester, baby.
Yeah, it's like it's crazy. I mean, you can't do anything. You know what I mean, it's like so intense. So it's like just a foam of mist all around you at all times. The massive, huge form of Arden is like peering up through this mist, like above you in the darkness. So she, the Arden, the swordswoman, she looms like 1,000 feet above the valley floor. The carving itself is it's like what should I say? It's almost like, I don't want to put like a negative spin on it, but it's sort of like the sculptures that you would see with like Mussolini's like fascist Italy sort of thing, you know, like
course.
realistic but like heavily like carved and chiseled, you know. It's like very sort of it depicts her kneeling on her right knee, and her right hand holds a broadsword, point down, while her left hand is extended, palm up. The extended palm is about 100 feet off the valley floor. Her head is helmed in a hoplite style helmet, which is typical of the ancient Arcontians. Even the modern Arcontians have versions of this same sort of helmet. Chin greaves, and her eyes are staring downward at her left palm as if she's looking at something in it.
Interesting.
Her hair braids extend below the helmet, and she appears to be wearing a breastplate. It looks like she, obviously because the waterfall is coming straight down constantly for God knows how many eons, directly upon her right side, which would be the western side. It's covered with wet and moss covered on that side particularly. You see that no significant pieces of the statue have actually fallen off. But the water stains that have collected upon the statue actually make it appear as if she's been weeping, like the stains on her below her eyes.
Aw.
When you talk about the moss, sorry, go ahead, John.
Go ahead.
When you talk about the moss growing upon one side, is there any other sort of like vegetation, like vines or, like things affixed to the stone itself that might look like an easier way of climbing them?
It doesn't look easy. There are definitely like long pieces of vegetation and moss and stuff like that are mostly upon the right side. The problem is that it's right next to what is a torrential falls.
Yeah.
Torrential.
Makes sense.
So it doesn't look easy at all.
Okay.
And too that everyone here, like I know that and viewers out there, you should know as well, in case you didn't watch Session 0, that Vargar and Osric are both Thorkin, which are native peoples to this land, to this local land, who were once under the dominion of the Arcontians in ancient times, and have recently fallen underneath their sway again as the Arcontians have expanded back into this continent once again. But regardless of the origin, even the dwarf knows, hails from a kingdom far to the west, of the stories of the famed adventuring couple and lovers, Arden and Vul. They are one of the 20 worthies of the Arcontian Empire, and that they are most. Arden is particularly famous for for her 12 labors that she did, which is recounted in the famous work known as the 12 Labors of Arden, which all school children learn. It's just part of like the common mythology. But they, of course, are most famous for the fact that their greatest achievement was founding the city that bears their name of Arden Vul.
Mike's got his hand up.
John, real quick, are the statues carved from like the rock, or are they like bricks that have been set in place and then carved into?
Nope, they've been carved out very much like Mount Rushmore style.
Gotcha.
So they're not fully detached from the stone behind them.
They're not, but it's a high relief, right?
High relief.
Basically as that illustration, as you see there, like the head and shoulders are basically freestanding. But then because she's kneeling, like I guess like you would say, like the lower back and buttocks are like probably adjoined to the stone itself.
So there's a cavity back there.
There is a cavity back there. Yes. But in that both that illustration and this illustration, not that one. Never mind. Don't look.
Too late.
This
I've
illustration,
seen it.
you can see how close the falls are to her right side.
Yeah, I wonder if Vul might actually be a more wise choice for looking for a place to climb and go in. I assume Vul is considerably drier.
Vul is Vul is basically not completely dry.
Yeah. Okay.
Now the falls themselves, as you're standing here, so they fall 1,500 feet into a bowl carved out of solid rock. The plunge pool itself, the basin, you estimate to be about, and you probably would have had to judge this when you were further back along the road, kind of approaching, because it's impossible to tell from this distance. It's approximately about 275 feet across. And the force of the falls hitting the water produces a constant swirling motion. And you can just tell, as you're basically on the banks of this basin, that it would be death to enter that water, like instant death.
Good enough.
That's the power of the water that's hitting that basin.
Do I see any barrels of foolish adventurers?
Foolish
going off the
TikTokers or something.
Okay. Cool.
It also looks like the Swift River runs out of this pool. You've already passed the point where it exited it out, right? Is named very appropriately, especially as it exits out of the pool. So it's very, very swift running. It is not something that you can simply hop across, and you didn't notice any likely fords on the way over here. So at least from where your vantage point right now and what you've assessed so far, it looks near impossible to get to those broken stairs where that marble lined entrance was 700 feet above the cliffs. All right. It basically looks like the entire western side of the cliff face seems to be inaccessible
From this side of the river.
from this side of the river. Yeah.
I
And-
immediately have a thought as a seasoned climber that Vargr is. High vantage points give much information, and going down is easier than going up. Yes.
Yep. Yep.
So a couple thoughts. I sorry if it was unclear to me, John.
It's okay.
The answer was no in terms of any sort of causeways or pathways at the foot of the statue behind the waterfall.
Like
Alright.
in this area, like
There's
if we,
no
yeah,
land. There's no land. In other words, that I might be able to like wiggle across in this area.
There's no pathways, nothing like that. You can try to scramble. Of course, there's stuff to scramble over and stuff like that, but
Okay.
it is being constantly pummeled by high velocity water. Like I cannot express enough how
Yes.
dangerous it would be. Right.
So I have two thoughts. That seems too dangerous, even if we put like a rope around us. Second thought, to use our visual aid, if we do ascend the first two segments of this switchback,
Yeah.
we will only have a clear view of what is in the palm of this statue, should it be important.
Yep.
But theoretically, we could traverse across or upon the statue itself. And with the
Yeah, I
aid
was
of
thinking
stuff
the
like
same.
that, I think that is probably as a climber, Vargr would sort of be like kind of eyeing, the cut stone, especially since it's a statue. It's going to have much more distinct, like edge work, right? I imagine, right? There are seams, in other words, for it to be a statue, which would be easier for me to like climb across than like raw rock face. So should we want to try to get to the west as we're looking at this western door? I think the best way to do it is to do a traverse of that.
But I think a thing to keep in mind, my friend, is that I'm certain your climbing skills are really good. Mine aren't.
Oh,
So,
no, of
yeah.
course.
So I appreciate that you're using the term "we" here, but I'm not going across there. I would say good luck to you and say a prayer.
I
I will
assure
pour
you,
one out for you when you fall and die, but
yeah,
I'm
I
not going that
I
way.
assure you, if this happens, I would make sure you were very secure to a rope and not taking any undue risks. I would be lead climbing here.
Hmm.
Well,
I think it's
Yeah.
certainly worth going up the
Yeah.
switchback and
think
looking
so.
at it. I also think I won't say we've wasted it. We've spent enough time
Yeah.
poking around down here. I don't want to go back.
agree.
Let's go up.
Let's go up. I agree.
Um,
All right. So
Yeah,
you're
I
going to
think
start back up
that's
the
the way to-
switchback.
I think
Yeah,
we can
I
start the
think we should
switchback.
start the switchback. Although I
Can I just make a point though, real quick, and I'm sorry, real quick. We're gonna go
Yeah.
up this thing. It's gonna be very slippery. Why don't we use Varga's rope to tie ourselves together?
Yes. So I agree. You can caterpillar basically for like fast climbing. If we all tie at increments across the 100 feet of rope I have, it's
Yep.
a lot safer if one person falls because the three other people have
Yeah.
stability. So
So
even if you're not like affixed to a, sorry, go ahead, John.
Let me give you just a description of what this switchback looks like, so you can make your plans accordingly.
makes
Right.
sense.
Yeah. So just really briefly, because you're at the base of it, so you can see clearly what this looks like. Now it's not stairs. Okay, this is different. This is interesting because it's not what you saw from across the river. What we saw across the river were wide, broken sections of actual stairs that were carved out of the mountain, out of the cliff face. This appears to be a narrow ramp that rises slowly in switchbacks. Okay. And it looks like it was sheathed with large flagstones that were mortared together at one time, but the flagstones now have been broken and are rutted, and it looks like quite dangerous, treacherous footing at some points. So that's what you're looking at. There's obviously no
Right.
railing, but it's quite
Right.
narrow, and it's a ramp.
When you say quite narrow, are we talking 6 inches? Or are we talking like 2 feet?
No, yeah. Let's see. I'd say
Let
it's
it
probably
card go
about.
with it.
I'd probably say it's about
Like
6 feet wide.
Oh, okay. So it's gonna feel really narrow when we're walking up there,
Yeah.
and it's a sheer drop.
Yeah,
But
imagine
it's
being
not like we're
imagine
gonna
being
be
500
pressed
feet
against
up,
the wall.
right? Which is a third of the way up, which is as high as the Washington Monument, and only having 6 feet from the cliff face to certain death.
Oh yeah, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Cool. Varga's very excited. You see sort of a thrumming in his eyes.
Thrumming,
Thrumming
yeah.
is a weird word for it, but yeah. All right. Cool. All right, boys. Well, you came for adventure. Whether you intended to have me along for this purpose or not, I am would appear, and I give like a long look to all of you, to be the only one remotely qualified. Shall I take the lead?
I have a stick.
I do suggest a stick, and in fact, that's not a bad idea. I mean,
Everybody could cut one while we're in
look,
the woods.
I think it would be since we're in the woods, I think it'd be useful for people to have a stick as just a balancing sort of device for
Yep.
their own confidence.
Yep.
If everyone would like to do that, is that possible, John? Since there are a bunch of woods at the base, for them
Yeah.
to just kind of
You can.
cue a couple branches.
I have a hand axe, so we can do it probably pretty quickly.
I'm going to say that's going to advance the time to 1 o'clock though.
Okay.
And John, when we start our ascent, so I'll have my walking stick in one hand, but weapons sheathed and my shield slung across my back, so that I have as many hands free as possible.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
With the upper limit of 2.
No, actually, you didn't know this, but dwarves in Ardenvool actually have 4 arms.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yes.
love that.
Good point.
That is great.
Just
Some
for,
extra
That is
axes.
great.
just,
John's like,
That's not the
what
only
the
thing
fuck?
I've got.
I don't remember that.
That's not the only thing I've got more than one of.
Dun, dun.
just so I'm
I
clear,
missed that paragraph.
John,
It is an 1,100 page document. Maybe I missed the forearm dwarves.
just so I'm clear on how this best works, I have like a small hammer and spikes that you can use as spitons.
Yep.
They're in my backpack. If I wanted to use something like that on the fly going up, do they need to be essentially equipped like weapons? I need to be holding them in either hand. Like,
Yeah,
how
we
does
don't have to
work?
get that nitty gritty. What I basically need to know though is like what's in your hands, right? So, but
I wanna
yeah,
have-
if you're using hammer and spikes, then obviously that's what would be in your
I would
hands.
like to have a couple spikes and a hammer on the ready. Essentially, is what I'm getting at.
Yep.
Should I need them?
Okay.
Should I need to throw a rope over it real quick?
All right, so just let's go down the line. So I know what Goran and Vargar have in their hands. What does Osric and Avaricios have in their hands?
I have my staff. That's.
Okay.
I don't think I have anything else useful to hold on to other than,
Your dreams.
my dreams, my hopes and wishes,
Hopes of living.
my faith in the wisdom of the master ancients.
All right, Avaricios.
Yeah, Avaricios, he is going to have his faith in the new steady staff that he has. We have forged from the trees, and also in his other hand, he's going to carry a crowbar because he thinks having something with a strong metal hook would be a good idea if he needs to.
Cool. Does anyone have a shield that they've had to pack away because of this?
I said that already, right?
Okay.
Yeah,
so,
you did.
I slung it across my back.
So just don't forget, and you don't have to like erase stuff and all that kind of stuff, but remember that now goes into your packed items things rather than your equipped. So that may may push you down into like a lower level of movement. Just, that's the kind of stuff that we need to keep track of. Although I assume for this particular ascent, I assume that you're moving as slowly and as cautiously as necessary, of course, but just something to keep in mind as we move forward.
I have
Right.
one more question that's only now occurred to me and will apply later on, perhaps. But the hammer within the equipment list is presumably to use for hammering things in, like spikes. Does it make sense that the broadside of an axe could do the same thing? I mean, in real life it would, right? You can just turn the hand axe, and hit it, correct?
Yeah.
Or is that too cheesy?
Are you just saying you want to do it so that you have a weapon ready, sort of thing?
Yeah, rather than having a hammer, if I wanted to use an axe, and so I'd have an axe that I could double as a hammer, is that possible, or is that too?
I buy it. I don't see why not.
All right, so I'm gonna have
Ted,
that instead of the hammer.
Ted, that's reasonable, right?
No.
No.
It depends on the axe. Actually, a Roman Dolabra actually has a spade on the back.
Oh.
But he's talking about like using like the part where it actually meets the wood.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, a Roman Dolabra, which is like a hand axe trenching tool, you couldn't use as a hammer, really, not very effectively.
Okay, that's good to know.
But some, sort of, we'll say Viking period that kind of axe, they often don't have anything on the back. It would make a fine hammer, not a great hammer, but a fine hammer.
I always picture it as like my hatchet. Like my hatchet that I take camping. Use that to hammer 10 stakes in all the time.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
Which is why I asked.
That's fine. Yeah, I buy it.
All right,
Yep.
cool. So I'm gonna have that just so I have the weapon rather than.
Okay, cool. And then we're tying each other with rope. How you've got 50 feet of rope, right?
I have 100 feet of rope.
Okay.
Yeah, but let's
So I
just
don't think we need 100. I think 50 is all we need. But just
let's just do a 50-foot length and do 10-foot lengths.
yeah. So what I'm gonna do, John, is I'm gonna have 50 coiled around me like a climber would, just like over my shoulder. In other words, not being used.
Yeah.
And the other 50 is gonna start tied to me, and then at an even increment across, we'll tie everyone. The rest.
Question about that. Should the bulk of the rope be actually tied around whoever is the strongest? I don't know if that is actually a factor in this kind of thing, David.
That is actually Vargar.
That is me.
As you can see by you guys can't see, but as the viewers can see by my lovely graphic.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's sort of immaterial in this. I think
What are you packing there, Vargar?
Sorry.
What are you packing in the old STR department?
Well,
let's
15.
check out the guns, baby.
Much like the player David.
It's that whisk and blood. Yeah.
It's that whisk and blood. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So
So,
then
what
I
is the
agree.
marching order then? Vargar first, then.
I'll go second. Sure.
Well, so here's my next question. If we've got a strong anchor with all that rope, then I guess, and this is a little bit meta, John, so take it for what you will. Is this going to be based on a strength thing or based on a dex thing, that kind of deal? Because I'm thinking that like the strongest and most dexterous people should be leading, and then they remain the anchor for anyone else who slips, if that makes sense.
Okay, so slipping, there's a high chance because you're going up these stairs that that you may have to. There might be an issue with the slickness of the ramp. That will be dexterity based. Then, should you have an issue because you're tied to the strength, like basically like your ultimate fate will be determined by strength, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. So I don't know if it makes sense.
Put the two best people at the front and the back.
Okay, front and the back, sure. So I'm a 13 strength and a 12 dex. I don't know where that puts me.
15
I'm 10 and 13, so I'm probably in the middle somewhere then.
I am in the middle too. You're stronger than I.
Okay.
So I'll follow up. I've got my staff and my steady feet and.
Okay, Osric second, Avaricios third, and Goran last. Is that what I'm hearing?
No,
Osric last.
Oh, Osric last. I'm sorry. Okay, quick. Who's going second? Quick.
sure, me.
Okay, Goran, Avaricios, Osric.
Yeah, I like this plan.
Okay. Oh, right. You start to you ascend your way up, and it's like after the first like 30 feet or so, it becomes absolutely terrifying. And you're thinking to yourself the entire time as you're slowly making your way up, hand over these ropes, as you can't even hear the sound of Vargar pounding in the spikes. It's like little pinks, like you could barely hear over the roar of the waterfall. It's like you've talked to like almost dozens of people who have claimed to have seen the wonders of Ardenvul inside, who have nominally gone up the same section of of a ramp all the way up to the top. And you're like, that is fucking insane. Like,
Sure,
what?
sure.
They are full of shit. I'm sorry.
I think while this is happening, Vargar is singing not quite the equivalent of "She'll Be Coming Around the Mountain," but sort of a Whiskin version of like a song of like like an Astrid, like a Scandinavian named woman who's a giant, who kind of like what's the giant lumberjack guy? Anyway, I'm
Paul Bunyan.
imagining a giant Scandinavian woman running through the mountains, right? Trolloping over them like they're nothing. This is what the song is.
Nice.
You got weird songs from your village, man.
Hey, listen.
Okay.
Don't kink shame. All right.
So it's very much it's much like a waterlogged version of the passing over Karathras, right? You know what I mean? It's like it's really slow. You're very careful, like pushing through like the water. Every step, it's like you can barely find purchase. Which you think is like a solid set of flagstones set by the the expert Arcantian architects of years ago, suddenly like slips out from underneath you. Causing you to stumble and causing other people to like grasp whatever shrubbery they can find, like growing out of the side of the cliff face. It's nightmarish. It's really awful. I need everyone to. This is an interesting way of doing it. You're going to roll 2d6, and you want to roll underneath your decks. But because you guys have taken the precautions of actually roping yourselves together, you get to subtract 2 from the roll, which is a good thing because you're trying to go underneath your decks.
Go in order of climbing.
Oh,
Yeah.
I made it.
I'll go first. Oh, okay.
Goran made it.
Yep.
I made it.
9.
Vargar got a 5. He made it. Okay.
All right, my dex is 8.
Oh boy,
That's probably not.
that's the lowest. That's the
3.
lowest.
1. Oh, that's a 4, and that's an 8, but with the -2, I'm good.
Ooh, that's good. Osric got a 5. All right,
Yeah.
you guys all really shitty, which is really good.
I actually rolled a 6 and a 5. It's just I'm that dexterous.
That's what it is. Yeah.
John,
Looking
just so-
across,
Oh,
it's actually really nice now that I can actually see your guys' ability scores. I wish you guys could actually see what I'm seeing, but for as you guys can notice, surprisingly and ironically enough, the dwarf is the most dexterous of the group with a 13.
hard to hit.
So you are able to make your way up to that first switchback.
That's all for one switchback?
Oh my god, we're so dead.
No, I should say, I'm sorry, 2. So you make your way up to the first one, and you make the second to the second one. Now this is interesting. Okay, at the second switchback here,
That Arden's shoulder.
you see that there is a 20-foot wide. I'm gonna reset this image, and it's perfect for the viewers. So please don't move it. Just adjust your screen or Albert to do your own thing, but don't move the image. Okay. At the second switchback, there is a 20-foot wide entrance into the cliff itself.
That's when I saw.
Yeah, it looks like it's been expertly carved into the cliff. It's not something that's natural, like a crevice, right? It's been carved, but it's not like lined with marble blocks like that grand entrance you saw on the western side of the falls, right? It's just like a
It
plain
used to be.
cut entrance into the side. It's dark. Like you, I'm gonna assume you haven't looked into it yet, but it's just dark in there. There's no light. But at this angle here, as you kind of, it's much wider here. I would say it's probably around give or take around 10 feet wide, so you can kind of like move around on this landing. You can see directly over. You're at Arden's shoulder now. You can see her helmed face, like looming up. Like if you look up and to your right, you can see like her massive face, like glowering down upon her hand, which is below you, right? So when you look down, you can see her hand.
And what's in the hand?
What's in the hand, John? What's in the hand?
What's in the hand? What's in the hand?
Banking.
you could see that in her hand is nothing.
I thought that.
Nothing in the box.
John, I have a couple questions. One, each segment, I guess, is it written how long each segment of this switchback is? We have a sense of like.
Well, I can tell you where you are right now. You're 750 feet above the valley, so you were exactly halfway up.
And how long did that take us?
I would say going super slow and careful. I'd say probably about a half hour.
Oh, okay. We made good time.
Yeah.
I didn't do it earlier because well, what I would like to do is like put a couple spikes on that path if we want to retraverse this at some point, just so we have like a fixed spot. Is it possible to retroactively put one at each juncture? Since we said we just did two, wasn't sure where we were.
You want to put them
You know what I mean?
at each switchback?
Yeah, so at the fulcrum of each before the turn, I just want to like put a spike in the ground.
Yep.
No, sorry, I don't want to do that. I'm sorry. I wanted. If this is not possible, let me know. I'd rather do it at the center point between each. Does that make sense?
I got you. Yep.
So I
Like
put a
on the
spike
incline
down.
itself.
On the incline, halfway up the incline on either side, I'd like to put a spike. So
Yep.
that if anything were to happen on our retraversal of this, it would be something that I knew was there if I needed to grab onto it, or if a rope could get snagged on it.
No problem.
Right?
Yep. So mark off
Okay.
2 spikes off your inventory.
Okay, well, cool.
I have a question, John.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So we're standing here at this, I guess, sort of a platform or something by this carved entrance.
Yep.
And I'm looking at this this path up and looking across, well, having earlier looked at the earlier on the other side. So that was stairs up to a marble entrance.
Mhm.
Am I getting the sense that that's like the visitor's entrance and this is the service entrance kind of feeling? Like this would be the ramp you'd bring a cart up into this sort of ordinary cut stone entrance as opposed to, climbing up the grand steps to the marble entrance?
It's totally a reasonable assumption to make. The only problem is that you can't confirm it because you haven't been close. You haven't been able to get close enough to the other set to determine the age difference between the broken stairs and the ramp that you're on. So you don't know, like,
This could be added later or whatever.
possibly, but like I said,
So
like
along with that-
you really have no idea. But it's totally a reasonable assumption to make that this
Just
would
to
be
be clear,
how
the stairs
carts
are-
got up. Yeah.
Just to be clear, the stairs are the western entrance.
Yeah, the western.
So I thought-
And so this entrance has no marble. Is there any indication that it previously had marble, that it was decorated in some way and has fallen into ruin somehow?
No.
Or any like signs or writing around, like any like wooden stakes in the
Nope,
ground.
it literally looks like it was just expertly carved to form like a rectangular entrance into the stone, but is completely devoid of any sort of remnants of, like there's no like holes where marble would have been riveted in or something like that. You know?
Sure,
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, it sounded like it was stripped.
yeah,
Could Gorand look at this and say that that's an Arcantian carving or not?
impossible. It's like I said, it's just been carved out of the bare rock, just in an expert
Right.
fashion.
Okay,
Arcantians had the ability to do this. You know that,
right.
and you have not actually peered in. This is just sort of like you got them up to the top.
Right,
and that's
right,
what you
right.
see.
Well, I think
Yeah.
it's time to peer in.
Oh, we definitely want to peer in. Last question on the carving of it. Does it seem like finished and smooth, or like rough, quick, like big chunks out of it?
Sort of. I know this is kind of wishy-washy, but it's actually sort of in the middle. It looks like utilitarian,
Okay.
right? It's like
So
someone.
that's good.
It's like someone carved
ceremonial,
it with
Like it's neat and tidy, but not fine.
yeah. It's like someone like a mason who would do it up to a certain standard and would never bring himself below a certain standard, right? That sort of thing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So my
Utilitarian.
last question. Sorry, my last question. We're really fixated on the rock. give a thief a wall. And everything is a no. Per my question earlier, like I'm really interested in the connection point, right, of when rough-hewn raw rock becomes sculpture.
Mhm.
And I really want to check and see if there is like
Ah,
a wedge, like it's really common for climbers to wedge through, to use the leverage of like a wedge. If that makes sense.
Yep.
A V point in
A
the
V point
in
between
the
those
rock.
two things.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And if there is, Varger would use that, for instance, to help traverse. He would try to get across through that because it would be the safest, least exposed way of doing so, to kind of go up and over the shoulder type of situation.
Okay, so that's a good question. So at this point, it's actually an ideal point. The pauldron of her armor is right there. Like you can literally like climb right onto it, and it is at this point, at least where you are in the sculpture, that the statue of Arden Vul actually connects with the rock right here at this landing. So the seam is tight right here. Like there's you can't climb behind the pauldron and get behind her. You would have to climb up onto the pauldron and go behind her head in order to get to whatever lies below. Behind her head. Right now. But and also at this point too, the falls are far enough away where you're still getting spray, but it's not obscuring vision at this point either, right? Like it's not dry, but it's still treacherous. But it's but you have that clear view down onto her palm, right? So you could, depending on where you want to go, you could climb up onto her pauldron. Anyone could attempt this. Obviously, Varger would have a much easier time than the rest of you. But it is definitely something that you could simply walk onto her pauldron, right? But in order to ascend it, you would have to probably make a roll.
I would like to see what's behind her head, but I don't want to dominate the session. So if you guys would rather go in first, let me know. I just think it's a.
You also see
I don't know. My spider senses are tingling.
Well, just so you get a clear picture as well, you can also see too that there are those vines and growths that are hanging, that are dripping down the front of her breastplate and the pauldron itself, and they do actually kind of dangle down down towards her knee and her open palm down there, right? Like there's growths like all over her.
I think
I'm a little sus of all this.
David, I think it's worth exploring.
All right.
I agree.
So-
I don't want to spend the next 2 hours trying to figure out how we do it.
No,
But
I'm
if
gonna,
you
I'm
wanna
gonna be
just-
real quick about this.
Why don't you just go ahead and leave us behind
So
on this platform?
what I want to do is we have 100 feet of rope, right?
Yeah, take the
I
rope with
want
you.
you to. I want to affix myself to. We'll say the first. How can we do this?
We should put the spike in right here.
I'm going to put a spike in here, and
Yeah.
you guys should be on one end of it
As a belay.
as a belay, right? I'm going to go 50 feet, right? I'm going to spike in, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to go another 50 feet. I'm going to spike in, et cetera, et cetera. And the first thing I'm going to do is try to get behind the helmet. That's the first sort of trajectory I'm going for. That way I'm tied. You guys have it another side of me. If things go to shit, I'm swinging down and it's still dangerous, but I'm not falling to my death. Does that make sense?
All right. Yeah,
Okay.
I can belay you.
What's your second character, by the way?
Yeah, exactly. So John, just to clarify, if this makes sense,
Yep.
visually, I am lead climbing where they are spiked and holding me, belaying me for the first 50 feet.
Yep.
I'm then going to spike in. I should probably do it every 25, but I don't know how many spikes I have is the problem. I'm going to spike in at another 50 feet with my second section of rope and tie off there as well and continue. Does that make sense? So if I fall on the second segment, I'm falling to that center point,
You're probably going to have to take the rope away from us at that point.
which I would also do, right? And then I would continue to caterpillar across. Does that make sense?
I got it.
So
Yep.
I'm always going to have 50 feet of rope attached to some point
I understand.
on this.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And we'll say that
So-
I don't know. I think it's 6 spikes is what you get for a set. So, but if it doesn't say that,
It's
that's what you
12.
have. So
or I got 12 maybe. That's
fine.
Something
Okay.
like that.
So now you're just okay. So if you bought 2 sets, then you have 12 spikes, which means you're down to 10 right now.
I have 10 right now. Yep.
Okay.
You can also retrieve them as you come back.
Yeah, I'll pull them if I need to on the way back.
Okay.
So first objective is behind the head.
All right, cool. So there are so this is kind of an interesting thing. You've got plenty of handholds, and you've got in addition to that you have tools. You have the spikes and you've got the climbing and you've got the help of your friends. But the thing that's kind of hindering you is the slickness and constant, the wetness coming off of the waterfall. But mitigating that is the fact that you are a thief who can actually climb sheer surfaces. So What is your climb shear surfaces?
My current climb shear surface is 3, so it's 50%.
Okay. So I'm going to have you make a roll because it is dangerous.
Sure.
But I'm going to let you use that, but I'm going to up that by 2. So I'm going to give you a 5 and 6 chance. And this is only because you're a thief. Basically, anyone else who would want to give this a try, I'd probably give them a 2 and 6 rather than a 1 and 6 because of the equipment that they had.
Gotcha.
But you're an expert, so
So walk with. I'm just rolling 1d6.
you're rolling 1d6 and you want to get 5 or lower.
Gotcha. And I did.
Yay!
Cool. All right. So yeah, you spike in, and I'd probably say it would probably take 2 spikes to get to.
Okay.
Well, no, it'd probably take 1 spike to get to a point where you could actually slip behind her head, right?
Gotcha.
So her head is fully detached from the cliff face. Now, already when you guys were ascending the stairs, you were in shadow because you were just because of the nature of the sun was kind of past its zenith, and you were in the shadows of this cliff. But now you're in complete, almost total darkness, because you're in that narrow cleft in between the head and the cliff itself, right? Actually, I would say like the sun is actually shining like a ray, like right through that dark crevice in between the head and the cliff. You can see that the rock of the cliff face itself has definite it's definitely been hewn in huge amounts, right? Like where there was actually like where the statue was carved out of that rock, right? Like it's definitely not natural there, but it has been worn down over the centuries because of the water erosion, so that it's sort of like these kind of gentle folds. But you could tell that it's not that it was hewn by somebody, you know what I mean? Like a massive team, like a huge effort. And you can see that there is a massive pile of vegetation that has basically grown up in the V part where like the back of her like her shoulder blades, right? Like the what's that called? The back here.
The nape?
The scapula or the nape?
The nape.
Oh, the
nape.
scapula
Yeah.
is what you're talking about.
Yeah, the
Oh,
nape
okay.
is where where it connects again with the cliff face. Do you understand what I'm saying? And it forms like a V. And down there is extremely lush with vegetation because it's like you know what I mean? It's like wet and moist like 100% of the time,
Right.
all the time, right? But it's also very, very dark. But it does get sun at certain points of the day, and so there's and you can see like the whole area that you're stepping into or climbing across is like draped with like heavy vegetation, all very, very wet. But you don't see anything like you don't see any entrances, you don't see any sparkly treasure or
Yeah,
anything
I'm
like
just
that.
I'm trying to visualize a little bit. Is there like a chasm where this vegetation is growing below? Like, is it
No, like
just vegetation upon the neck, or is there like erosion that's created a face?
no, I'm
vegetation.
saying like the head is completely detached, right? Let
Yeah.
me see if I can put it in frame here. So, let's see. This
Sorry.
I'm trying to do like my camera. So this is her head.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is the cliff wall, right? Understand? So the head is detached from the cliff wall, all right? And then because she's leaning forward and resting on her knee, right? Her back is sloped. I'm sorry, this is her head. Her back is sloped and so eventually hits the cliff wall,
Yes.
right? And so that's where it attaches again. And then that crevice right here is all this vegetation.
And how easy would it be for me to get down to that vegetation?
Not too hard because there's tons of like you can using the rope and especially in the hanging vegetation it would be minimally difficult.
Okay, I'm gonna do that.
And even if you fell, you would fall into that bed of vegetation with maybe a d6 worth of damage.
So I have my spike there, right? I'm gonna use my second 50, and I'm gonna rappel down there.
Okay, cool. All right, no roll, and you alight down into this patch of extremely wet,
Sure.
thorny masses and stuff like that, but no damage or anything like that.
Can I just
And you
take a look
basically
around?
you kind of drop down, and it's like it basically almost goes up to your neck in like thick vegetation, like you're really
Wow.
like in there.
Yeah.
Snake. You're gonna find snakes.
Fuck, shut up.
All of you,
Spiders. Yeah,
all of
probably
you
spiders.
hear a dreadful cry in the air, like a.
Like a
There's a fucking nest. There's a fucking nest.
No, it's a huge. It's it's a huge cry, like out in the air somewhere. You see a shadow. You're already in almost total darkness, Varger, and you can see like above you for a brief instant, for about 2 seconds, you can see the sun get blotted out by some large thing that is flying from the western side of the cliff face towards the east as it flies over you, and you are physically pushed down by the massive force of wing buffet as woof, woof, and something crosses right over top of your guys' heads, of the rest of you guys back on the landing, as you see a green scaled massive serpentine figure alight come winging by you. It does not appear to see you, but wings and then like slowly, almost lackadaisically circles in the sky above you.
I would just like to say that earlier when we felt like the rumors and people we talked to and things about the switchback they didn't mention, I feel like they've really dropped the ball. It's crazy. Like,
I would like to lodge a complaint.
It does not appear that is what it appears to be. Although you've never seen one, but it sure seems like one. It does not appear that this dragon has noticed any of you.
Into the doorway.
Hide in the fucking door.
yeah, now's a good time to back into the doorway.
Yeah.
Hold on. Has Varger extended beyond the 100 feet of this rope? Can I start pulling on him?
And he said that he took the our end of the rope with him.
I have 2 lengths. So
Yeah.
there's a method for me to get back to you on my own if you want to hide.
I'm
Right.
gonna go.
I'm
gonna hide. Yeah, I was gonna pull you, but if you've pulled the rope
So
past,
there's a stake at the top, at the apex of the neck.
We get what the setup is, dude.
yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
I know that. My point is, are you more than 100 feet from me? If the answer is yes, I can't pull on the rope because you have all the rope.
You can pull on the rope.
Okay,
Then I'm gonna.
let's take the rope into the tunnel and pull on
Yeah,
it down.
Yeah. Okay.
Great.
All right. So you're like, oh shit, and you guys race into this entrance. You can see that it leads into what appears to be a relatively low chamber, only about 8 feet high, and it's carved out of very neatly shaped rock without any decoration or ornamentation at all. There doesn't appear to be any sort of furnishings at all inside, but you do see that there is, in the center of it, there is a fire circle, and there is a 2 weeks. I don't know how you would know that, but I'm going to tell you right now. There appears to be like a 2-week supply of firewood stacked neatly against one of the sides of this chamber.
Oh.
There does not
So
appear
it's
to be
just
any.
a room?
It just appears to be just a small little room, like a little watch post, perhaps, or something like that. Does not appear to be, as far as you can tell, any sort of further, entrance to anything further deeper into the cliff itself. But it definitely does it protect you from whatever's outside there.
Sure.
Well,
While they're pulling up our thief, I'm gonna go
They're not
do.
pulling me. He's just nudging
Okay,
me.
Nudging you.
while they're doing what they're doing, I'm gonna go search for secret doors in the back of this tunnel.
Okay, cool. All right, so roll me a secret doors check.
Can I use
Unless
my
you're doing something specific, like.
Well, I want to check. First of all. It's just a square. You said, right?
Yeah, rectangular, but yeah.
All right. On the back wall, I'm going to look for any bricks that are loose. I'm going to use the back end of my hatchet to try and my hand axe to try and find hollow spaces.
Okay.
And I was hoping that I'd be able to use my dwarfiness, the detect construction tricks to see if there's like sliding walls, new construction, sloping passages, anything like that.
Sure, that it's not a substitute for secret doors, but if you so it would take like one turn to do that sort of stuff, and then another turn to do like specific secret doors. You know what I mean?
Okay, so first I'll do the construction trick thing.
Okay, cool. Go ahead and roll.
John, do we need to? Is it dark, so dark in here? We should light up.
It is definitely dark,
I
although
have
there's
used
enough
it.
light coming in from the outside that you don't necessarily need one unless you plan to spend a lot of time here.
Nope, it's totally fine, guys. Totally safe. Not gonna have goblins come out of a secret door and eat us later. That's totally cool.
Sweet.
I
Okay.
rolled a 3.
All right, so we do have to wrap up here. Just so we're all in the same place. Vargar, do you want to do anything further here in this?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so we can leave it here. That's fine. So we can have Vargar basically still attached to the rope. A dragon has just winged by and basically lazily made circles in the air as it sort of rode the currents of the air upwards, and then it disappears off, as far as you can tell, over the cliff. Like you just will kind of watch and look as it kind of disappears. What you think is into the ruined city itself, but you're not really sure. And you can hear one last cry as it disappears. Vargar is basically up to his neck in the shadowed recesses of this vegetation, in the nape of the neck of the statue of Arden, while the rest of you guys are in that chamber. We can leave it there, if that's cool.
Yeah, sure.
Sound good?
He lives there now.
Right on.
All right. They have made it about halfway up the cliff. Already some
pretty good.
exciting,
Thank
juicy
you.
stuff to dig
It's
into.
gonna be a long adventure, boys.
Yeah.
And John, we did not see a giant nest in the hand, right?
No, you saw nothing in the hand except like a vegetation, like a little bit of vegetation. But
How
you know,
tall was the vegetation?
not
Sorry.
tall, not anything near what you saw, but just like an open palm. But it does appear that you could, like, if you crested the pauldron, which you've already done in order to get back to this point, but if you crested in the other direction, that there are enough vines that you could, Vargar, would not be that too terribly difficult to get down into that hand. For everyone else, it would be quite difficult and quite dangerous. Still a little bit of danger for you, just so you know, but it is possible. All right, so yeah, we'll leave those decisions till a further time. But anyways, awesome first session, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Yeah,
John.
that's cool.
Thank you, John. Man, that was really fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks everyone for joining in. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And hopefully we'll see you guys soon for session 2, and we'll see what these misfits get up to. In the meantime, don't forget to please like and subscribe. Please share everywhere you possibly find, so we get some more viewers, more people into it. And we will see you guys next time. So thanks so much, guys. Have a great week. Take care. Bye.
Take care.
Okay.